Hello, my friends. Welcome back to me, your host, Christian Watson. It is so good to be with you guys today on another video commentary of mine. This one is going to get me into trouble. I know it will. But that's alright, because the struggle for truth is fruitless without a little bit of turbulence along the way. Because the truth is not meant to be a very easy thing to obtain. You have to struggle for it. You have to fight for it. You have to reason for it. You have to observe for it. Aristotle, Aquinas, and Locke all said, I believe Aquinas and Locke got this idea from Aristotle, that there is nothing in my mind that was not first present within the senses. So, in the interest of being empiricists today and observing things in our political dialogue, we have to talk about the Proud Boys. So, what this video is not going to be, this video will not be an outright attack against anyone associated with the Proud Boys using a smear that they are all white supremacists, because that is categorically false and untrue. That is not true. The Proud Boys are not an inherently white supremacist organization. And this notion swirling around them, that they are white supremacists and they are evil, and that notion has made it very hard for me to find articles which give a neutral take on them. But thankfully, I was able to find one. Forbes.com. Forbes, which actually does a very good job in terms of journalistic integrity and independence, mentions things about the Proud Boys. It goes through a timeline. And of course, the Proud Boys were founded by Gavin McInnes, who is a comedian, who is a sort of, right-leaning provocateur, so to speak. A lot of people don't take Gavin McInnes seriously. He's kind of like Steven Crowder. They look at him for comedic value, but if they want to actually get an in-depth intellectual take on something, they'll go to someone else. They'll go to someone like Ben Shapiro, someone like Coleman Hughes, like whatever. They don't go to They don't go to Crowder. They don't go to Gavin McInnes. But Gavin McInnes saw an affliction in American society. He saw the affliction of political correctness, which I agree is most certainly an affliction. It is most certainly unfortunate. It is most certainly not desirable for any society that claims to be a free society, for any society that claims to labor under the assumption of free expression, for any society which confirms the natural liberty of all of its inhabitants. Political correctness is a plague. As Buckley said, it is a menace and a bore. So Gavin McInnes said, you know what, this political correctness stuff is infringing upon our ability to express ourselves. Therefore, let's create the Proud Boys. As this part here says, McInnes announced to the world that the Proud Boys, as the secret club for Western Chauvinists, women are not allowed, focused on anti-political correctness and anti-white guilt, with meetings that would consist of drinking, fighting, and reading aloud from Pat Buchanan's Death of the West. This is where the concern begins to come in. But I'll address all that in a moment. Of course, the SPLC, which is a smear organization, they used to be very good back in the 70s when they were fighting for families who were infringed upon by Nazis in the Klan, but now they appear to be the go-to source in calling any right-leaning organization that is a little bit irreverent to the current system, supremacists or evil or militias or extremists. I just don't like how they phrase things. People are talking about division in America. The SPLC is the biggest sower division in America, period. So they had something to say about the Proud Boys. Now, this is a fact. A Proud Boys member did organize the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. And McInnes said, no, you guys can't do that. You guys cannot be involved with white supremacists. That completely goes against our message. So this is the founder of the Proud Boys saying that we're not founded off of white supremacism. We're founded off of Chauvinism. So don't be white supremacists. And so this is actually the original founding document, the treatise that launched the Proud Boys here, 2016, on tachymaga.com. And Gavin McInnes is actually incredibly clear about what the Proud Boys were and are at this time. He has since left the group. And he said that if you want to be part of the Proud Boys, you should publicly declare yourself as a Proud Boy. That means you make your Western chauvinism public, and you don't care who knows it. If you support Trump, and it comes up in the cafeteria, you proudly state your stance. If that gets you fired, so be it. Our forefathers died in battle to protect our freedoms. The least we can do is be inconvenienced. There is no anonymity in pride. Second degree, you must get the crap beaten out of you by at least 5 guys until you can name 5 breakfast cereals. If you hammer out Chex, Cheerios, I'm not going to read all of this. The rationale here is we all need better adrenaline control. Both physical fighting and arguing require you to maintain your composure and not get petty with ad hominem attacks. Defending the West, da-da-da-da-da. Okay. All right. So, the ideal proud boy, we'll call him the proud man. Just like the idea of the democratic man, or the civilizational man, or the primitive man. Let's call this guy, in the same parlance, the proud man. The idea of the proud man is someone who is buff, macho, who is full of pride, and who is willing to take that pride and get in your face and say it irreverently, and if you don't like it and you want to extol consequences against him, so be it. His pride. No consequence is greater than his pride. This is the problem with the Proud Boys. They are predicated upon a notion of Western civilization, which has more to do with them as opposed to the actual ideas of Western civilization. Let me say that again. The chief problem with the Proud Boys is that they are predicated upon a notion of Western civilization that has more to do with them than the ideas of Western civilization. One of the pre-Socratic philosophers, Heraclitus, said that this logos, this part of the universe, which is objective and is out there and it controls the universe, I'm simply an emissary for that. I have nothing to do with that. But people have their own private understandings of the world, which blinds them with the veil of ignorance to what the world truly is. The Proud Boys have their own private understanding of Western civilization, which blinds them to what Western civilization actually is. Western civilization is not a compendium of fights and conflicts taken out to the streets by people who were angry and people who were prideful. Western civilization is the culmination of a disparate collection of cultures, ideas, virtues, and actions, and relics and institutions, which are still loosely connected, but come under a single broad idea of humanism, a single broad idea of enlightenment, and so forth. Now, does this mean the West is the best? I don't. I'm not going to get into all of that. I think Western civilization has some very good ideas, and those ideas should definitely be preserved. But there are also cultures in Asia, there are also cultures in Africa, there are also cultures there are cultures everywhere that have good things about them. And there are some cultures that are just terrible. Look at North Korea. Look at some of the cultures in the Middle East. There are objectively bad cultures, yes. And the Proud Boys believe that, and they want to stand for that, but the problem is they are standing not in righteousness, they are standing in vice. And so their prideful conception leads them to do some bad things. The Hispanic leader of the Proud Boys, which should tell you even more, these people were not necessarily white supremacists, was taken into custody because he was suspected of allegedly destroying a BLM flag at a black church. And the Proud Boys are now being, as this NPR article says, sued over that. Remember what Gavin McKenna said? You publicly declare that you are a Proud Boy. That means you make your Western chauvinism public, and you don't care who knows it. And if you support Trump and it comes up in the cafeteria, you proudly state your stance. If that gets you fired, so be it. Gavin McKenna is saying no matter what you do, you have to put your pride before your own self-interest. And if you face consequences, so be it. This is an outgrowth of that mentality. He's not calling for violence, but violence can necessarily come from that mentality. When you exist in a solipsistic space, and all solipsism is the idea that the world flows from your mind, nothing else, that you literally control the world, you control the laws of the universe, you control the laws of economics, you control all these things. This is a solipsistic endeavor, which is getting people arrested, and it's just not really completing the aim the Proud Boys hoped it would complete. That's my problem with the Proud Boys. Pride. being consumed with not the self, but being consumed with an image of the self, which obscures you from actually being able to understand your true self, and therefore being unable to interact with the world in a virtuous manner, in a correct manner. All correct ideas correspond with reality. And the idea that the Western civilization flows from you in masculinity and grit is to exclude all the feminine aspects of Western civilization, which gave birth to so much, which gave birth to the understanding of so many values, so many things which are foundational to the human being. The Proud Boys stand athwart of all of that. That's my problem with them. Prudential thinking is much better than rank primitive chauvinism. It's okay to be proud of the West. It's okay to be proud of those ideas which constitute our humanity. It is not okay, ever, to be consumed with an image of yourself and then to interact with reality with that image of yourself. That is never okay. That will never be okay. And so for that reason, I cannot support the Proud Boys or any endeavor that they undertake right now. We need to fight political correctness, but let's do so pensively, let's do so prudentially, and let's do so without resorting to pride. Think on it. As always, my friends, I love you, and please stay pensive. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this message, please be sure to support my channel through PayPal. My PayPal is @officialcwatson, as you see on the screen. Any amount helps. Thank you so much, and stay pensive.